Hi and welcome to another story, and today we have part 1 of Double Act by Jacqueline Wilson, starting from the very beginning, chapter 1. We're twins. I'm Ruby, she's Garnet. We're identical. There's very few people who can tell us apart. Well, until we start talking. I tend to go on and on, Garnet is much quieter. That's because I can't get a word in edgeways. We are exactly the same height and weight. I eat a bit more than Garnet. I love sweets and I like salty things too. I once ate 13 packets of crisps in one day, all salt and vinegar flavour. I love lots of salt and vinegar on chips too. Chips are my special weakness. I go munch, 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 gulp, and they're gone. So then I have a snaffle. I have to snaffle some of Garnet's. She doesn't mind. Yes, I do. I don't get fatter because I charge around more. I hate sitting still. Garnet will hunch up over a book for hours, but I get the fidgets. We're both quite good at running, Garnet and me. At our last sports day at school, we beat everyone, even the boys. We came first. Well, I did actually. Garnet came second, but that's not surprising, seeing as I'm the eldest. We're both 10, but I'm 20 minutes older. I was the bossy baby who pushed out first. Garnet came second. We live with our dad and our gran. Dad often can't tell us apart in the morning at breakfast, but then his eyes aren't always open properly. He just swallows black coffee as he shoves on his clothes and then dashes off for his train. Dad works in an office in London, and he hates it. He's always tired out when he gets home. But he can tell us apart by then. It's easier in the evening. My plaits are generally coming undone and my t-shirt's probably stained. Garnet stays as neat as a new pin. That's what our Gran says. Gran always used to have pins stuck all down the front of her cardie. We had to be very careful when we hugged her. Sometimes she even had pins sticking out of her mouth. That was when she did her dressmaking. She used to work in this posh fashion house, pinning and tucking and sewing all day long. Then after, well, Gran had to look after us, you see, so she did dressmaking at home, for private customers, mostly very large ladies who wanted posh frocks. Garnet and I always got the giggles when we peeped at them in their underwear. Gran made all our clothes too. That was awful. It was bad enough Gran being old-fashioned, making us have our hair in plaits, but our clothes made us laughing-stocks at school, though some of the mums said we looked a picture. We had frilly frocks in summer and dinky pleated skirts in winter, and Gran knitted 2 Angora boleros that made us itch, and matching jumpers and cardies for the cold, twin sets, and a really silly set of twins we looked too. But then Gran's arthritis got worse. She'd always had funny fingers and a bad hip and a naughty knee, but soon she got so she'd screw up her face when she got up or sat down, and her fingers swelled sideways, and she couldn't make them work. She can't do her dressmaking now. It's such a shame, because she did like doing it so much. But there's one amazing advantage. We get to wear shop clothes now, and because Gran can't really make it on the bus into town, we get to choose. Well, Ruby gets to choose. I choose for both of us. T-shirts, leggings, jeans, matching ones, of course. We still want to look alike. We just want to look normal. Only, I suppose we're not really like the normal sort of family you read about in books. We read a lot of books. Dad is the worst. He keeps on and buying them. Not just new ones, but heaps of old dusty tomes from books from fairs and auctions and Oxfam shops. We've run out of shelves. We've even run out of floor. We've got piles and piles of books in every room, and you have to zigzag around them carefully or you cause a book quake. If you've ever been attacked by 50 or 100 very hard hardbacks, then you'll know this is to be avoided at all costs. There are big boxes of books upstairs too that Dad isn't even properly sorting. Sometimes you have to climb right over them to get somewhere vital like the toilet. Gran keeps moaning that the floorboards won't stand up for all that weight. They do tend to creak a bit. Dad gets fussed then and agrees it's ridiculous, and sometimes, when we're a bit strapped for cash, he loads a few boxes into our old car and takes them to a second-hand bookshop to sell. He does sell them too, but he nearly always comes back with another lot of bargains, books he couldn't possibly resist. Then Gran has another fierce nag, and Dad goes all shifty. But when he brings her a big carrier of blockbuster romances from a boot fair, she softens up considerably. Gran likes to sit in her special chair with lots of plumped-up cushions in her back, her little legs propped up on her poof, a box of Cadbury's milk tray wedged in beside her, and a juicy love story in her lap. They're sometimes very rude, and when Garnet and I read over her shoulder, she swats us away, saying we'll find out something we shouldn't. Oh, we found it all out ages ago. Dad reads great fat books too, but they're not modern. They're all classics, Charles Dickens and Thomas Hardy. If we ever look at Dad's book, we wonder what the Dickens they're on about, and they seem very hardy, but Dad likes them. He also likes boys' adventure books, really old ones where the boys wear knickerbockers and talk like twits. I sail, Bean, and truly spiffing, and Tophill. Garnet likes old books too. Stuff like Little Women, and What Katie Did, and all those E. Nesbit books. And she reads twin books too. Books like The Twins at St. Clair's, and all the Sweet Valley Twins. I read them too because you can read them nice and quickly. But the books I like best are true stories, about flashy, famous people, actors and actresses. I skip everything boring and just read the best bits when they're on telly and making movies and all over the front of the newspapers. Very flashy and very famous. We're going to be famous too someday, you bet. So I've started writing our life story already. It's funny, Garnet is usually the one who writes stuff. Her writing's neater than mine. So often I get her to do my schoolwork. She doesn't mind. Yes, I do. I was rifling through one of the boxes of books upstairs, and right at the bottom where there was this lovely fat red book, ruby red, with a leather spine and one word picked out in gold lettering, Account. I thought it was the title, but when I opened it up, there were just all these blank pages. I asked Dad what had happened to the story, and he said it wasn't a proper book at all. Accounts are sums. You add up everything you've bought, and that's keeping accounts. Only, I don't like keeping accounts. I just feel guilty seeing how much I've spent, said Dad. You can have it to scribble in, twins. So I'm scribbling away. I'm not. Yes, you are. I keep letting you have a turn. And I'm not just writing about me. I'm writing about us, giving an account of ourselves. Hey, Garnet, find a dictionary and look up the word account. Account. 1. A verbal or written report, description or narration of some occurrence, event, etc. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, writing an account of our lives. Everything's a bit boring right this minute, but maybe soon we'll somehow get our big chance and we'll achieve our lifetime's ambition and be actresses. I don't want to be an actress. Of course we want to be actresses. Honestly, Garnet, give over jogging me. She can be a bit stupid and shy at times. She doesn't think we'll ever make it as flashy film stars, but I keep telling her all we need is confidence. She keeps going on at me now, saying she doesn't want to be a star. Well, that's mad. She can't mean it. Who on earth wouldn't want to show off all day in front of the camera and go to posh parties every night with all the other stars? We'll live in our own flash flat with masses of flowers in every room and huge boxes of chocks to dip into whenever we fancy, and we'll wear ruby red sequin frocks and ruby jewellery to match. Okay, Garnet, you can have garnets, only they're not as precious and valuable and sparkly, are they? That's not what you wanted to say. Well, what do you want to say then? All right, you write your bit now. Go on, here you are. Get cracking, you write about you. I don't know what to put. I'm not used to writing about me. It's always us. I do like writing, though. I was a bit annoyed when Ruby bagged this beautiful red book and started scribbling all that stuff. I thought we could maybe use it to write down our plays. We've always played these pretend games together right from when we were little. We pretend to be other people and make things up. It used to seem so real that it would get muddled into our ordinary life. It can still seem real for me, but Ruby often mucks about and won't play properly. She doesn't like going over and over a play. She just wants me to keep making up new ones for us. She doesn't seem to realise it's hard work. And if we keep starting on new plays, then some of the best old plays they just get forgotten. I want to write them down properly to keep them safe. I like making up plays, and I don't mind acting them out when it's just Ruby and me, and we're totally private and imagining it so it could almost be actually happening. But I can't bear proper acting. Ruby and I were twin sheep in the nativity play when we were still infants, and it was one of the most truly awful experiences of my life. Not the most awful, of course. That was when... Look, you're not writing any of that sad stuff. I won't let you. This is me again, Ruby. Garnet's just gone off all humpy because I happened to scratch her a tiny little bit when I snatched the pen. I asked her nicely first, and it's my turn now. You have to be able to take turns fairly when you're twins. That stuff she wrote is daft anyway. What's the point of writing plays down in books? You should play plays. And she's got to be an actress because that's what we're always wanting to be. And while we're still trying to get famous, we can do adverts and game shows on the telly. Identical twins are a mega novelty. Garnet can't reject fame just because of that one unfortunate experience being a sheep when we were little. She got so worked up and nervous when we had to perform that she wet herself. On stage, in front of everyone. But it didn't really matter. I don't know why she still gets all hot and bothered if I happen to bring it up. It was dead appropriate, actually, because that's what real sheep do all the time. They don't hang around the stable with their back legs crossed, holding it in. They go all over the place, which is what Garnet did, and everyone thought it was ever so funny, except Garnet. Got to go now. I can smell Sunday dinner. Yorkshire pud, yummy, 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 in my tummy. Ruby, you mean pig. You've put about me being the sheep. Look, you You were the one who mentioned it first. You went on and on about it. Yes, but I didn't say what happened. It was my most painful and humiliating secret. And now you've told, Ruby. I haven't told, I've written. And this accounts book is secret, just for us. We can write everything down in it, all our secrets. Yes, but you haven't written down your secrets. You've written down mine. Oh, quit fussing. Let's go and eat. I'm starving. Gran's a bit cross because Dad's ever so late, back from his car boot sale, and she's had the dinner turned down low for the last half hour, and her Yorkshire is going all sad and soggy. Like some silly twin. Come on, Gran's calling. Dad should have been back ages ago. He's all right, isn't he? Of course he is. You're an old worry guts, Garnet. He'll have just bought up an entire bookstall, that's all, and he'll be having trouble stuffing them all into the car. You know what he's like. Yes, but he's not usually as late as this. And he likes Gran's Sunday dinners as much as we do. What if he had an accident? Oh, Garnet, shut up. Coming, Gran. Chapter 2. We haven't been able to write a proper account because tons and tons of stuff has been happening. And now I suppose I should write it all out, and yet I don't know where to start. You have a go, Garnet. Go on. I don't want to go on. I want to stop. No, I want to go backwards. Back past the day Dad was late back from the boot fair. Back past the ordinary us twins and Dad and Granny Day after day apart. Back through the awful bit when Mum died and... Stop it, stop it, stop it. No, Ruby, we can't stop now. We've got to remember, and don't you see, we've got to make Dad remember, and then he'll stop seeing Rose. Ah, all right, but tell it quickly, the bit about Mum. Tell it as if it was a story and not real so that it won't hurt so much. Once upon a time, a man called Richard fell in love with a girl called Opal. Opals are beautiful stones that shine all different colours, but some say opals are unlucky. This girl Opal was beautiful, and she shone, and Richard knew he was lucky to have met her. Richard loved Opal. He sometimes mucked about and called her "Oh, pal," because he said she was his pal, and he gave her an opal ring. Where's that ring? Remember how we used to be allowed to try it on? But I haven't seen it for ages. Oh, no. Oh, Garnet, you don't suppose Dad will give it to Rose? No, of course not. Gran's got it safe in her jewel box, and she says we'll get it when we're grown up. Which one of us? It ought really to be me, seeing as I'm the eldest, but I'll let you borrow it sometimes, if you're careful. I'm the careful one. Look, you've interrupted my story now. Go on then. You got to the ring bit. Dad gave Mum the ring. Richard gave Opal a beautiful opal ring, milky white, but with all different pinks and blues and greens and purples, sparkling like magic whenever it caught the light. They got their own flat. They got married. They had twin daughters. Which is which? I'm that one, the baby with Mum. No, that's me. You're the baby with Dad. I drew it, so I should know. Well, I can't help that. The baby with Mum is the biggest baby. You just look and see, and I was the biggest. We both know that. That's baby Ruby. I'll show you. It doesn't matter anyway. Okay, you're the baby with Mum. Right, well, Mum held you too, of course. She held me, and then she held you, and Dad held me, and then we grew up a bit. And we could toddle around, and we didn't need to be held, though we still had cuddles with Mum. We sat on her lap, both of us together. I can remember. You're just remembering that photograph. Hey, let's stick it in the accounts book. It's not just the photo. I can remember. She felt so soft, and yet her arms could hold you so tight. You felt safe. And there was her flowery smell, and her curly hair tickled. She tickled us too, remember? Round and round the garden. And then she'd tickle us under our arms, and we'd go all squirmy. Remember that, Ruby? She's gone all quiet. She can't stand remembering it because it makes her so sad. And she can't ever stand being unhappy. She won't ever cry. That's one of the few ways people tell us apart. If one of us has gone all red and watery-eyed, then it's me. I think I might cry a bit when I write this next part. I'll go back to doing it like a story, and I'll scribble it down ever so quickly. The twins started school, and Opal and Richard went to work, and at the weekend they did things like going swimming and shopping, and had days at the seaside. All the normal, nice family things. But then everything stopped being normal and nice. Opal got a bit sick. Then she had to go into hospital. She was all right for a bit after that, but then she got sick again. She couldn't work anymore. She lay on the sofa at home. Gran had to meet the twins from school. Richard stopped working and looked after Opal, but she couldn't get better. She died, so they stopped being a family. There, I've written it. Do you want to read what I put, Ruby? No, she doesn't. I was 3 years old when it was 3 years ago, when we were 7, but we're 10 now, and it's all right again. We can't ever be our old family, but we're a new family now, Gran lives with us, and she's not like a mother, but then no one can ever be like a mother to us. No one. No one at all. Especially not stupid, frizzy, dizzy Rose. This is Rose. No, this is Rose. Yes, that's Rose. Only she's even worse than that. What does Dad see in her? He's the only one that likes her. Gran doesn't like her one little bit. Gran's face when Dad turned up with Rose that Sunday. We all just stared at her, and Dad came out of all this guff about how she'd helped him when his bag of books broke, and then surprise, surprise, her car wouldn't start, so he'd given her a lift, and they'd popped into a pub for a quick drink on the way home, and she was all set to have a sandwich for her lunch, and Dad said he'd got a proper roast beef in Yorkshire job cooking for him at home, and she went, "Ooh, it's ages since I had a proper Sunday dinner like that, so guess what, folks? He brought her back to share our Sunday lunch." "There's no problem, is there, Gran?" Dad said. "No, of course not. Do come in and sit at the table, Rose. There's plenty of food. I'm afraid the beef will be a bit overdone, and I can't take pride in my Yorkshire today. It was lovely and light and fluffy, but I waylaid your son-in-law and kept him down the pub and mucked up your meals," said Rose. And she actually laughed. "Sorry about that," she said, though she didn't look the slightest bit sorry. Gran had to smile back at her through gritted teeth like it was funny. We didn't smile, though, did we, Garnet? She couldn't take the hint, though. She chatted away to us, nattering on about telly-programmes and pop records and stuff, as if she'd known us years and years, and she kept trying to remember which of us was which. "Now, you're Garnet, right?" she said to me. "And you're Ruby," she said to Garnet. "Yes," we said. "Right." "Wrong," said Dad, laughing uneasily. "That's Ruby and that's Garnet. They're a pair of jokers. Even Gran and I get confused at times." "Speak for yourself," Gran said huffily. "I'm sorry the beef was so dry that it would have been just cooked through a treat an hour or so ago. Anyway, apple pie and cream. Help me clear the plates, girls." We helped her clear, and when we came back with the pudding plates, I sat in Garnet's chair and she sat in mine. Rose was none the wiser. She nattered away to me, calling me Garnet, and she jabbered stuff to Garnet, calling her Ruby. "Yes, I'm beginning to be able to tell you apart," she said. "You're Ruby, and you're Garnet. Yes, right." "Well, not quite right," said Dad. He came out of this false ho-ho-ho, as if it was a great joke. "Stop teasing poor Rose, twins. I'm afraid they've swapped seats. They're always doing it. I just call each girl twin and be done with it, Rose." "Oh, I think that's awful," said Rose. "I couldn't stand that if I were a twin." "Well, certainly twin Roses would be awful." "You're two separate people who just happen to be sisters, aren't you? Garnet and Ruby, or Ruby and Garnet. Whichever, I've got muddled." "We like being called twin," I told her. "That's what they call us at school," said Garnet. "We are twins," I said. "So we like," said Garnet. "Being called," I said. "Twins," we said simultaneously. Rose raised one eyebrow and gave a little nod. Okay, she said. "Got it." She stopped trying to be so matey with us then. She tried complimenting Gran on her apple pie, but Gran stayed as dried up as dinner and barely said a word. So Dad did all the talking, on, saying all this silly stuff and pulling faces and telling stupid stories. He didn't sound like Dad at all. It was as if he'd swapped with a new twin dad. He didn't go back to being our dad even when we'd got rid of Rose at last. "Well, what did you think of her?" he asked eagerly. I looked at Garnet. She looked at me. I raised one eyebrow. She raised one too. Then we both turned sideways and pretended to be sick. All right, you've done enough clowning around for one day," Dad said crossly. "Yes, don't be so rude, Ruby and Garnet," said Gran, but she didn't sound a bit cross. "Did you like Rose, Gran?" Dad asked. "Well, she seems nice enough, I suppose. A bit pushy, inviting herself to lunch like that." "No, I invited her," said Dad. "I didn't think you'd make such a big deal about it. Actually, you've always said you'd wished I'd socialise a bit more, bring a few friends home, not stay so wrapped up in the past." "Yes, dear, and I mean that. I'm only too pleased that you want to bring people back. Though if you could have just phoned to give me a bit of warning, and you do want to go a bit carefully with that type of woman." "What do you mean, type?" said Dad, really angry now. "Now, Richard, don't get in such a silly state," said Gran, as if he was our age. "It's just that she seems a bit eager. She's never set eyes on you before today, and yet she's all over you, even trying to act like one of the family." "I've known Rose for months, if you must know," said Dad. "She's got her own bric-a-brac stall in the arcade. We're forever bumping into each other at boot fairs. I've always wanted to get to know her better. She's so bubbly and warm and friendly. I don't know how you can talk about her like that. She's a lovely girl." "Girl," said Gran. "She'll never see 30 again." "Well, neither will I," Dad shouted. "And it's about time I started making the most of my life, okay?" He stormed off out of the house, slamming the door. There was a horrible silence after he left. Garnet got hold of my hand and squeezed it tight. She looked like she was going to cry. Gran looked like she was going to cry too. We were all shocked by the row. We didn't ever have rows in our family. It's all that Rose's fault. Yes, it's all Rose's fault. She started all the changes. She comes every Sunday now, and in the week sometimes, and Dad goes out with her in the evenings, and when they come back in the car, they kiss. And that is where we will leave part 1 of Double Act by Jacqueline Wilson. I'll be back soon with the next part of this fantastic story and lots more stories and videos coming your way very soon. If you would like to subscribe or hit a like, that's always appreciated. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.